Hello and good morning from Selma, Alabama. We are here today with a very special treat with Charlie Lucas. We are going to do a little tour of his creative space and hear from the man himself about his art creations and his history, his life, working with students and children, pretty much whatever he wants to talk about, we're going to let Charlie talk about today. I'm seeing some familiar names joining. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Sunny. Good morning, y'all. Hope you have your coffee. And that's it. We're going to switch over to Charlie now. So here he is. Bloop.
Do they see me or they still hear me?
They see you and hear you. And if y'all can't hear Charlie, let me know in the comments. And if you have a question for him, type it in the comments and I will let him know and I'll ask him. All right, so Charlie, say good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so honored to be a part of this. I want you to come into my environment and look at my toys, and I will try to introduce them to you the best I can. And the first piece I want to introduce that I think is, to me, is so precious, it was the Trojan Horse. This is a piece that was did in my art class with kids. So when I walked up to the kids, I said, what do we need to make in my classroom? And so I let them make the decision on what piece to make. And so we come up with the Trojan Horse. So I said, okay, how do I tune these kids? So I went in there and got some piano keys that I know that I could tune them. And then one kid said, oh, Mr. Charlie, don't you think one of them passed on? I thought, we put one that passed on in there. He said, well, don't you think some of them got sick in there? We put one in there throwing up. So then another kid got up. So, well, Mr. Charlie, wonder how they was breathing and stuff. And so we put vents into the piece. So when these kids really got over into it, they said, Mr. Charlie said it was 50 people was inside this horse. I didn't know that. And then after we kind of got through the classroom and were finna take a lunch break, one of the kids said, Mr. Charlie, can I say something before we go to lunch? He said, do you know the whole thing started over a woman? And I like to fell on the floor. I said, oh, great. So all of this, even when they went into me, this piece right here is called the Mermaid. I told the kids, I said, close your eyes and look into the sea. In the bottom of it. What would you see if you looked into the bottom of the sea? And they said, oh, Mr. Charlie, they dump garbage and everything in there. And I said, yes. I said, that's what we're going to create, the bottom of the sea. So that's what we come up with, the mermaid. And they said, Mr. Charlie, have you ever seen a mermaid? I said, it's nothing but a fish with clothes on it. I didn't know what to tell these kids. So I fell in love with those kind of things with the kids.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And basically, if you look at that, that's what's actually we dump. I would dump stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. Yeah. Debris, for sure.
Just debris in there.
Cool.
So all of that's telling me that I'm on the right path with these children because they bringing their grandparents and everything in the classroom. So we want you to meet Mr. Charlie. And bring me my little bike right there. That's my bike. Every kid that come in my classroom, before they leave out, they have to learn how to ride that.
Oh, gosh.
I still ride it.
Charlie.
Yeah, that's nothing to ride. Just get on and ride it. Just make sure You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
So if you come in my classroom, you got to ride this. You got to ride this. So when they come out and tell their parents and their grandparents, they say, who is this person? They say, he can still ride a bike, and when they come and see this one, they really freak out. I said, no, they can't. I said, yes. And one little girl, she was really, what was wrong with her? She had something that she was shaking. She had no balance. I told two kids, get on the side of her And we made a racing track round through that. And I said, stay with her till she understands balance. They said, Mr. Charlie, we know nothing about that. I said, have you ever picked something up off the floor? He said, yeah. I said, have you ever got up off the floor? Yeah. I said, just don't let her fall on the floor. And they got her by the arms and just hold her till she felt it. And one day she come in there, her mama come, and she was, whoo, it touched me that morning. She was crying. She said, my child come up to me and hugged me and told me that I can ride a bicycle.
There's a band for you, Charlie.
Wow.
We got something going on. So we interrupt Local Artist Live for just a second. There's there's a marching band going on in downtown Selma right now.
You see it?
I just hear it. I don't see it.
Oh, that's about the bridge.
What do you think they have going on, Charlie? Well, here we go. We're outside now. This is going to be the Local Artist Live to... Y'all are on for a ride this morning.
Yeah, I was listening to the story of a Martian Captain David. David is the physical in that. And so I wrote a story, and some guy come off the bridge and ran into David's hole there and tore his car up. I said that was the Martian crash. It was perfect.
Nice.
I got to really do something with this.
Yeah.
I got to really do something with this. I just ain't got no money right now. I need to sell like at least 5 big pieces so I can move a little bit more.
All right, let's go back inside, Charlie.
This is on the wall now. It's called Elvis Presley, Richard Pryor, and Michael Jackson. They saying you ain't nothing but a hound dog.
I'm going to check that out. All right.
All 3 of them is mixed up in that piece.
I love it.
And see, the wall plug covers is for you to plug into that knowledge of them. Because we're talking about 3 different people that were so creative and so talented.
Right.
Richard Pryor and Elvis Presley.
All right, let's go inside and see some more of your art, Charlie.
Okay.
Hear some more stories.
This is another big thing about Harley. This piece right here is in honor. This is the piece the museum needs to buy. This is in honor of my great grandfather because he made wagon wheels.
Okay.
So, for me to understand who my great grandfather was, I had to go into his life and unlock that. So I had to have a tool to do that. So I put a wrench in there to unlock the beauty of him.
Okay.
And then through that, it had a lot of pressure because back then he was, you know, back in the olden days, he was just a blacksmith. He was just a man under a tree beating on the iron and something. So for me to see all of that, I had to see the wheel rolling over into other cultures of art, beauty, music, many things. So the wheel started to roll. So this is one of the wheels that embraced me and my great-grandfather because I had to come to the roundness of me and him. And then this is a flywheel ring because I had to fly to get there. And as I got there, I rolled over many times. But when I woke up, I was still on a wheel.
That's beautiful.
It's a beautiful piece.
It is.
And even these little pieces here. This is a little girl.
I love the face.
It's called growing up, but you want her to grow up as like a beautiful flower. But even how much we try to grow up, listen, she still got to roll up into womanhood. And then this piece right here is about me and my brother shifting it into a new gear as two brothers lock their minds together. And then these things is off a 57 Chevrolet truck.
Okay.
And then the sweep here is the kind of thing when you believe in God. How do you receive God? Do you receive God like boom? Or do you receive God as like coming into you like a V that it focused directed to your heart? That's the way I see it. So when you see this, you see it as a V.
Okay.
And look at this here. The kids in the classroom helped me build this piece. And one kid come in there and she had some music. And she said, "Can I play some music in there, Mr. Charlie?" And that's how that tree started.
Cool.
Because I let them think. I make them into little supervisors, little workers. And then I have a voting system. They vote on what we're going to build in our classroom. Because I'm giving them the understanding of being what they want to be in my classroom. And then all the ones that's on the little raunchy side, I make them supervisors and workers because I want them up there with me before they won't interrupt all of the classroom.
Charlie, will you talk to our audience and tell them about your camps with students? How does that happen?
I tell kids when they come into my classroom, I say, I basically only have one rule. I hope you survive the class.
Well, with that little bike, I'm not sure they do, Charlie.
But I tell them steps of being something special. And even with kids like the bike, I told them, I say, every kid that'll come in my classroom, they learn how to ride that bike. And some of them, look at me, Mr. Charlie, I can't ride that. Can't you let it up or something? I said, no, I won't fit it if I change the setting on it. They said, you can't ride that. I said, if I ride it, you'll learn how to ride it in 5 days. In 5 days, they be scooting around through here. We'll make a racing course around there, and we'll just see who can go around it. And then by the time that will get in, jump off. So you got to beat that time. And all you're doing is that one kid get off the bike, another get on there, another kid timing. You get around there, he's trying to be, our group gonna beat your group. Everybody said, that is it. That's it. Because I can go in there and deal with him on that. And on my property, my granddaughter been driving a tractor ever since she was 3 years old. I ain't talking about no lawnmower like that. I'm talking about a big people's tractor. And one day somebody come out there, some road commissioner or something, and my granddaughter was up near one in the road, but she was near on the property, driving the tractor. Nobody out there with. This is a baby 3 years old on a 3940 tractor. This is a big tractor. The tires on it this high. And they went and called the DHR or something on me. The lady come out there, and she said, I got a report that you doing some strange things out here with these, with your kids. I said, what are you talking about? And just in a few minutes, here my grandbaby up there near the road, on the tractor, finna come on back down on the property. And I'm saying to myself, I said, please stop up there. Please stop up there. Please stop up there. And she seen me talking to this lady, and she just drove on down on the property. Her car was over here, my truck was over there. And there was enough room for the tractor. But most people wouldn't have drove down between it. She just drove right down between the tractor, shut it off, got off the tractor. She was about 4, I think, then. And like that was a heavy song. And she walked up there and the lady asked, her, have I ever beat her or anything? She said, no, sir, but when I get wrong, he will straighten me. And so she got on the phone and called her supervisor, said, this little baby come up driving a tractor. And he said, well, most little kids can drive. She said, oh, no, this is a big person tractor. And said she got off and cut it off and got aggressive with me. He said, you need to come from out there. And they ain't been back no more. Because my son been driving on the public road ever since he was 5 years old. That's nothing out in the country you can do that.
Right.
And people like, you let your children drive? Of course I do. If I can dress my little son up and take him into a restaurant as a 90-year-old midget, that is nothing.
All right, Charlie, let's look at some more art. Talk to us. Well, you tell me.
This is a good piece right here.
All right.
This is the servant. This guy will serve you a plate of food that you had never had before. But he's so humble with it, so when he comes to you, he's serving it to you on a dish. So he's telling you that when he serves you something, he holds it with both hands because he wants you to get a good feel of it. All of these pieces tell me how to play with it. To buy my toys, it costs a lot of money. What'd you say? And even this piece right here, this is kind of the main focus of bringing kids together. It's called like the Buddy Rider. You hardly ever see another kid on a bike with another kid. So I like that piece because it took time and the energy is so wild and loose in the piece. This is what you call funkified. This is 20 miles down below being cool. It's what you call funkified. Remember what that is. It's something. Let me show you what funkified looks like. Here. This is what funkified. This is what I get the kids to build, and they leave me a little special gift. This is funkified. You see the way it is? Kids make these things, they leave me a little special gift. And it's just made from a piece of water hose and a clothespin. Mm-hmm. That's what you call funkified. That's what I wanted to show you. Like things like this. Mm-hmm. It's just something that you can walk out there and pick it up. Mm-hmm. And it tells that kid he's in control of it. It tells him that this is his toy. I said, it's cheaper than going out to Walmart. You can't find none of this out there at Walmart.
All right, Charlie, we had a question of what your favorite artwork currently in the studio is. And why?
Oh, this one. This one is the one I'm working on. This one is really speaking to me. I'll let you see what I'm at. This is called Passing Through It. But it also have the ship of the slaves. These are the slave symbols. Actually, when I finished it up, it'll be when they was just bound on this ship. So they was just passing through it. We can set it up if you want.
Okay, that'd be great.
Come on up the side.
Thank you. Thank you, Grayson.
It's gonna like that.
Okay, wow.
So when you look at this here, these are the slaves that was on the ship. And it's called Passing Through It. Many cultures passed through the slavery concept. It wasn't just black. It was many people were slaves. You got it?
Yes, thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome. I think I'm not trying to embrace slavery because it's already there. We can't change it. We can't erase it. But when you tell people how you see it, I think that's when the magic and the beauty comes out of it to a point that happened then. How can we focus our life that this never happened again to any race of people? How can we focus our life to do this? And it's hard to focus your life on something when man said, that ain't the way you're supposed to be educated. And then some people say, well, you're an educated fool. I got a degree. What, you got a degree in stupid? No, you should never. You have a fruit basket of knowledge. That's what a degree is. And if you're not willing to take the fruit out and pass it on, you got a degree in stupid. You're supposed to be the instrument to everyone once you get some knowledge of yourself. You're supposed to be an instrument. I only went to the 4th grade in school, and when I was struggling, it was so hard to go to school because they didn't understand a person that was dyslexic. And then one day, when the first candidate got killed, the next year I left home. That was back in, 63. I left home. Because I figured if they could kill the president of our country, what was my life worth? You have to guide your own life. You have to guard it the best you can. And you have to walk out in the world to do something for mankind itself. When I went out in the world at 15 years old, I had master building a house. That means everything that goes in a house. Couldn't read the blueprint, but I know how to do it.
That's really cool.
So when you're building a block of knowledge, you have to be careful that it don't get a whole race of people killed off too. You have to be careful with that one. Even when you're preaching about it, even when you're putting religion over into it. All through my work, you have never seen the part of saying, oh, Charlie got crosses and all that. I never did that because my Jesus is not on the cross. My Jesus is in me. Now, where yours at, it might be at McDonald's or Walmart or something, but I should have said that, but I had to. But my Jesus is in me. And my God done protected me for 70-something years. And I'm supposed to have been dead a long time ago. But when you look at the beauty of it, we die every day. The minute you come out the womb, you die. The minute you come out the womb, you die. So we die every day. But what do we leave him for? Man can honor us through it so many times over that we can be free enough to educate our children through it. That's what I've been striving for. I want to find somebody that can tutor me in reading and stuff because I'm dyslexic. I can't sit at a desk and focus on reading. That ain't the way I'm tuned. I'm snap, crackle, and pop all the time with me. I don't care nothing about all of that other stuff. I want that in my life. I want that in my life every day. That's my Jesus. That's my Jesus.
All right, so this is your favorite piece right now, and you're still working on it.
I got 20 pieces, but this is the one I got down here.
Yes. Will you take us to the other part of the studio and show us some more?
I'd be honored to do it. You go in the area you want to go, let's go do it.
Well, I'm following you, Charlie.
These are pieces here. It's called Do You Hear Me Moaning? It's 6 pieces. And these just come back. All of this is a show just come back from Dothan.
Okay.
But when I introduced myself to the pieces, I had to go back to where my great-great-grandmama and them was when they was having the baby on the old quilts. These quilts here, some of these quilts is over 100 years old.
Wow.
So when I went into it, I had to go into it with respect. This was the first one I started working on.
That's beautiful.
And when I got them almost did, it was something was missing in the piece that I didn't know. It's kind of like it was not all of it. So I was down by Calhoun Food, and I found this table that had 6 legs to it. All the tables I ever had anything to do with, they only had 4 legs. So when I come back in the house, I laid this leg here on this piece here, and I said, yes, that's it. That's it right now. Because we never look at the table and understand that those legs hold our food, our dinner, our Christmas, the turkey, and we just pop down and never tell that table, thank you for holding my food up, that I can get to it and eat it. You don't have to feed me like a dog. You don't have to feed me like a hog. You got a table that got 4 legs or 6 legs, whatever. And I'm going to sit here and eat this meal and talk about all of my old raunchy relatives. And I'm going to take a go box home when I go. And this one is did in honor of my great grandmama, that she was in church and her and a lady got to fighting in church, and it took 4 deacons to take her out. And after they got him calmed down, the preacher got up to do the sermon. He said, I hadn't seen so much lingerie Nessie was hanging out on a line. I thought that was the coolest thing that he could have said at that time period. Of course, he kicked my grandmama out of church.
Hey, Charlie, while you're moving, Kay Jacoby says, hey.
Tell her I said, hey, back.
She's on, so you're saying hey right to her.
Okay, tell her I said, hey. Tell her we just trying to move through a few things. This piece up here, you see the one with the painting? It's called Footprint. That piece come up to me when a guy named Mr. Avon Graves, I was 4 or 5 years old, and we lived behind a Baptist church. But the wooden floor had rotted out, so they had raised enough money to put a concrete floor in the church. So Mr. Avon Graves, he was a real tall man, about like 6'4", 6'5", and Stacey Adams' shoes looked like they were that long he could ski on the water if he wanted to. But them guys got out there, Uncle Bish and Cousin John and my dad and all of them got out there and handmade this concrete and pulled it up, and they went off for lunch. And Mr. Avon Graves come down there and looked to see what's in them there. And he walked across that concrete and put his footprint in that concrete. By the time my dad and them got back, the concrete had got hard, and there was his footprint in that concrete. Oh, I just loved it. So my dad and them got there, went to fussing about it. Said, look at him, his footprints in there. And Mr. Bish said, Jim, said, leave it alone. Said, Jesus walked on water. He walked on concrete. So these are the kind of stories that it didn't really seem like it was a great value to me then. But it's a great value to me now because I can tell it and people in my life say, wow. And I could even take them to the church and show them the footprint. So that's that building block of knowledge. That's what I'm talking about. Many things. I was watching this thing, I don't watch much television about Einstein. And, oh my Lord, did you see how he looked? He looked like something that fell off a building or something. But look what this guy had in his head. Mm-hmm. His value from the outside of his way of living didn't mean that much to him. That's the way it is with me. But look what this guy did, and the way he tweaked it, that it'll last forever. Mm-hmm. Or even when the Wright brothers then was building the airplane and stuff, it will last forever. So this is what this is about. My supplies will always be here, laying here on the earth. When my body passed on, after they cremate me, I want them to go to the nearest dump site and throw me in it, because that's where all the good stuff at. That's where all the good stuff. Everything that we throw away, we throw it in the dump site. And think about me out there. Ooh, got machines to be out there. I can do what I want to at the dump site. Maybe the railroad spikes we ought to talk about.
All right, let's do it.
My daddy was a kind of person that was always on the raunchy side of life. He was real rough. And he was in my studio one day. He smoked the Camel cigarettes. And he took the last cigarette out of his pack and he threw the pack on the floor. So I picked it up and looked at it, and I walked over to him. I said, let me show you what I can do with this. In 5 minutes, I had created that. By just looking at that camera on the Camel cigarette package, and I just took it and put it into something else. See, that's what I'm saying. You can take this and set it anywhere, outside or inside, and this will last for a couple hundred years. See, that's the beauty of it. It ain't about how much money I get from it. It's a fruit tree. You only pick enough fruit to eat that day. But if you want money for it, buy a truck and take it to the market. Here's another one I like. This is called Mr. Flex.
Mr. Flex.
This piece is the same size that I am. This piece would fit in the car that y'all rolled in. Yes. Once you unsnap it, it's like a Lego. Once you unsnap it, it becomes a man. This becomes his head, you slide it here. You take this motor loose and he slides this way. You take this off, it becomes his legs and an arm. This becomes his torso. And then, let me show you how easy it is to change the attitude of it. So you can interchange the legs, become whatever you want to be. And I take this in my classroom and it'd be all tucked apart. And we'll send the teacher out of the classroom and I'll get 2 kids and all you need is 1 tool to put this together. And when she come back, she's like, where did that come from? And I'll take it in on a little old dolly like that. See this little dolly right here? You can take this whole piece in the classroom on this little dolly here.
That's crazy.
It'll fit on this dolly here. And you can take it in the classroom. I built this up up in Gaston at the university up there. Me and 12 kids built the show. I built 40 pieces. I even built the airplane in the classroom. It's called Mr. Flex. And you can make it sit on his hiney. You can make it kneel down in the front. You can make this be the same as an animal. The way she's doing that, this piece will do the same thing. This piece will do the same thing. So all of that's telling me how to play with kids. This piece, there's another piece I need to tell you about. This piece right here was did in Mexico.
Okay.
I did a project out in Mexico. It was called the Borderline Project. We did things with the Mexican kid and in the United States kid. Was out in El Paso. And I had some kids that I couldn't speak the language, but I learned how to talk to them that day. Every kid knows what the Pac-Man game was. That's the way I introduced myself to them. And they just felt, they said, how in the world that you could just walk in there and tell them, let's play the Pac-Man game? And that's what they had that. They had it. They had it. So there's so many stories in here about how I played with kids that is so much magic to me. I mean, look at this here. You can pick it up with one finger. It's so light.
Yeah.
And a kid can walk up there and see that. It's like that he can have a dog that he don't never have to feed. And you can set him outside and just leave him there. So it's many things in these pieces. Many things. Well, this piece.
Yeah, please.
This piece it's almost like the piece I'm working on now.
Okay.
But if you look at it, this is the kind of resemblance of the bridge.
Okay.
So these are spirits that was like slaves that was tied down and then was actually just thrown into the river. Like some slaves, they couldn't punish them. And so they just got rid of them. So these are spirits just floating down through the roundness of me and my great grandfather. These are the wagon wheels.
Right, okay.
These are the wagon wheels. If you look at my work, you'll find a lot of wagon wheels, and that's in honor of my great grandfather. And then when you see this right here, these are the hot tongues that he wrecked in the fire to take out the iron and to beat on the umber with. So it's so much in him that my whole family is wrapped up into my work. And it's in the honor of them, because if I didn't do something for them, their name would just be laying out there in the graveyard with weeds and possum and snakes and stuff. But I wanted something more than that, because they were special to me. My great grandfather was so gentle. I loved him because in the morning time, he would get up and he would give thanks to God. He would look at the sun, and then he would flip over to himself. That's when I know who he was then. I know who he was. So all of this is my moving family. Oh, this is another one. Come here. Show you what's up in here. This is Sassy Mama. I did this in honor of my first grade teacher. Her name was Miss Knight. She had a lot of junk in her trunk. But she had back problems. After I realized that she had a lot of back problems, that's why she was the way she was. But she walked about like a duck, and she was kind of like humped, and you could eat off the back of her. And Sassy Mama, I put her down. A friend of mine had a restaurant in New Orleans, so he wanted something that would draw people into the steak restaurant. I said, I got the perfect piece. So I sent Sassy Mama down there, and he put her on a platform like that. Then he put tables all the way around her, and Sassy Mama had 1,000 names when I went down there to get her, because people had names. It looked just like my old sister-in-law. No, she looked like my mother-in-law. No, she looked like my cousin. You remember the one that drank the corn whiskey and fell off the porch? That's who she looked like. So the piece becomes something so much greater, like it was a Superman concept of her. That she had begun to fly into people's head, and they could see it and feel it and talk about their relatives and stuff through it. I liked that. And my son, he was sending me a check, because every time he make a lot of money, he would send me a check. My son said, Daddy, you mean that he's sending you this kind of money, you ain't even sold a piece? I said, I got a pimp out. And if you look inside of it, you see the wheel.
Okay.
You see the wheel. This piece right here is called a dino horse. All right, I'm going to tell you the difference between a dino horse and a regular horse.
Okay.
A regular horse have hoof. A dino horse have claw.
Oh.
That's the difference in it.
Charlie, will you share with our viewers, in case anyone, I don't think anyone's unfamiliar with you, but just in case, how you started creating art like this?
I've been making things ever since I was 3 years old. And back in '84, I had a real bad back injury. I broke my back. And in the midst of all of that, I asked God to give me a talent that no one had, and I promised him I would be a humble servant in it. And the next morning, I went through a lot, and I got up and I told my wife, I said, I'm finna do the story of the Tin Man. And she said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm finna do the story of the Tin Man. I said, I want to tell you what's finna happen in it before it happened. And I got it documented in books to prove what I'm saying. I said, I'm going to lose you, but death won't be the thing that'll drag you away from me. I said, the friends I thought were friends going to walk away from. I said, people's going to come up and abuse me through this here. I said, but when you can stay humble in it, that's when you become the strongest in it. And that way you're more real. It ain't about the money. Yes, I like money. But when you can create something that you can tell a kid that I was in El Paso, Texas, in a blue jean building when they made blue jeans and stuff, and I built this piece. And this part here is made from a filing cabinet.
Okay.
It's made from a filing cabinet. There's the wheel again.
There it is, yep.
So when you look through it, you're looking through it. This piece right here, I did this piece in 85. This is what's going on with us right now. This is when Mother Nature stood up to take the world back again because man have abused her body. And people say, what are you saying? I said, when you look at the piece, that man went in there and they plowed up the graveyards, got the spirits up. They cut the trees down. There was no place for the birds to lay the eggs. They come in and dug down into the earth, digging up the coal and all of the stuff. So we had earthquakes. We dug up the dinosaur bones and saying that we know more about the dinosaur than dinosaurs know about itself. That's why we're extinct. And then when you look at this piece, this is Mother Nature, but then man is behind her abusing her. Through all of what she done gave him, he's still abusing her. I did that piece in 85 and I cried all the night long about that piece because I know one day it was going to come to the real part of it. This is the corona stuff. If you look at that, you see that virus right there. The virus is right there. We don't have no idea how that virus mutates. It could come from we digging up these bones and stuff. 85. I could see all of that in 85. And they tried to put me away because they thought I had lost my mind. I went through 5 psychiatrists. I thought they sold freedom. And the last one I went to, and he looked at my right. He said, Charlie, he said, only thing you need to do is go out there and do it. And he wrote it off. I had to go through all that because my family, I had 42 people that was trying to put me away now. But all of that showed me who I was and what levels was I taking to go down this road. That's how you have to be careful. You know, sometimes we go so fast with our career, we get lost in it, and then people will own you in your career. I had an agent, he owned me for 4 years, abused me badly. I'm not gonna say his name because I'm not angry about it no more. But when he really seen the beauty of my heart, it was too late for me and him. But he said, you is one of the rarest person I ever met in my life. So you the rarest person I ever met in my life. And I looked at that, even with him doing me wrong, I said, I thank you for telling me that. I said, I hope your journey down through life be like an 18-wheeler. If it run over you, I hope it flatten you good.
All right, so we're coming up on about 10 minutes left. Okay. And so I just want to say to the audience, if y'all have any questions for Charlie, type them in the comments so I can ask him.
Yes.
And while we keep walking around, Charlie's going to show us some more art and talk some more about his creations.
This piece was created in my classroom with some kids and a couple of years ago. And as we was working on it, one of the kids asked me, said, well, Mr. Charlie, what kind of fish is this here? I said, you tell me. You the one working on it. He said, oh, Mr. Charlie. I said, this is one of the greatest fish I ever made. He said, my daddy is a dentist. I said, what's your daddy? 4 people teeth out? I said, okay, I want you to put these back in. So this kid and another kid got on the side of this, and he said, well, where we gonna get the teeth from? I said, boy, if you don't go over in that groovy junk box and find them teeth, and they went to popping them teeth in. Oh my God. They were just working. And they were coming on each side of each other to see which one of them had the best looking teeth. I thought that was incredible. And then one of the kids walked up to it, and I said, we got to name the piece. And one kid walked up and said, just wrote on it, oh, Mr. Bobby Joe. And one kid, oh, Mr. Charlie, did you? I said, perfect. Mr. Bobby Joe. It was just perfect. I said, leave it alone. Leave it alone. So all of this have helped my life to be solid. It ain't about no money. You want a solid life. That way when you walk up to people, you know, I like this coat too. That's a pea coat, ain't it? Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Don't you go to sleep around me? You can be so. What age are you?
22.
Oh my goodness, you just broke out the eggshell. 22, I was married, probably had 4 or 5 kids.
Well, you also left home at 15, Charlie. So
I left home at 13
well, there
with
you
2
go.
kids.
There you go. Early.
She
You started living.
She. I can't write the instruction on that one too much. It was fun while it lasted, is all I got to say about it.
What's this one right here? Did you make it or was it the kids?
No, I did this one.
I like this one a lot.
When I was working on this one, it's the computer piece. It's got a computer chip in it. And when you look at this piece right here, you see that shiny piece right there? Mm-hmm. That's off a 67 Chevrolet car. So that's just, to me, it's just super classy. And this part right here is out of those big old air conditioning units that be on top of the building. So it should be a cool piece.
Mm-hmm.
It is a really cool piece.
It should be a cool piece. So you got to see it. You got to see it and feel it. And then you got to also make that space in your life to build from that. And humble yourself. Don't be so, you gonna be pretty for a while. I mean, look at me, shoot. I still roll the cages if I want to. So you got time to be pretty. You got plenty of time to be pretty. This upset my ex-wife. My hair's long. I love it. Not that I'm trying to be mean to her, but I love it because I used to wear my hair used to be down to him. My son, I got a son, the hair comes down to him. And I got a granddaughter. When you take her hair loose, it look like this. Humongous lot of hair. All of this is showing you the discipline. If you can't see that in him, and you can't see the fun of it, you lost. You lost in your life. Don't let people overeducate you. You learn how to think on some of this stuff on yourself. You shouldn't be overeducated. Oh, I can read anything, but what do you do with it? You have a flat on your car, you don't even know how to take the jack out to jack the car up.
Charlie, let me ask you.
Okay.
And I feel like you kind of already touched on this, but I want to ask you directly. Why do you think art is important, especially for children to experience?
I think that's the only part that they can see themselves as being the person they want to be. And they can be so beautiful in it, or they can be a little bit raunchy in it. But they know they in that part of them, they is in control of it.
Yeah. And
then when they look at it, they can explain it to other people why I did that piece. That's what art is. You can explain it. I got a piece of work of my grandbaby when he was 5 or 6 years old. and it's just a chunk of. It's like I'm gonna show you this. It's a piece of wood, just as simple as that. And he went and got it. I had just taught him how to use the drill, and he drilled lots of screws in this piece, and then he took this yarn and tied it all on these pieces. But then he had some screws on the side of it. So I said, what is this you got here? He said, Papa, that's a ship. I said, well, what is this right here? He said, that's the one that fell off the ship. I just hollered laughing. I said, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And I still got that piece in my studio. Of my grandbaby. That's what I'm saying. The concept of what he twisted it, it was magic. And then my son, he had made some sculptures when he was 6 years old. Some of them about this tall. I think it's 4 of them. But anyway, he's grown now. He don't call down there. He had sold them down to a guy in Baton Rouge. I was okay with that. He said, Daddy said you need to pack them up, so I'll send you $100 if you ship them down there. I said, okay. I said, but son, first off, you got to pay the storage fee on them. What, you got them in a storage house? I said, my storage house? He said, how much the storage fee is? I said, $5,000. Daddy, that's more than I sold the piece for. I said, I ain't got nothing to do with what you sold them for. I said, that's what the storage fee is for me keeping them from 6 years old and you up in your 40s now. Storage fee. And he said, well, how can you figure that? I said, do you know where they're at now? No. Have you seen them in the last 10 years? No. Case closed. On the phone. So he called his mama and told on me, Daddy, come on, he got to sell my work for, I got to pay storage fee for $5,000. I said, what else did he say? So he told me, said, did I know where they was? That killed it. Come and let me show you this, then we're going to call it a wrap up.
All right, Charlie, we got it.
This piece is, I'm going to explain it. It's the basket weaving technique.
Okay.
But I tweaked it my way. But one day that I had this piece out on my farm, I got 5 acres of art. The bird had built a nest in there, and it had 4 baby birds in there. And so I'm there looking inside of this piece like just looking at my little birds just chirping and cutting up. My brother drove, he bought from him that thing that was from me. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm listening to the baby birds. But all he could see was this, sitting in the truck. He said, man, we're going to have to put you somewhere. So we just going to have to put you somewhere. And he shot the door in his truck, pulled on out. I said, golly, he missed the baby bird. This is called one speed. Wheels inside of out. So you got to look at what I'm saying. It turns over, it turns over, it turns over, it keeps turning over. To get here, you have to ride on wheels. Look here, this is a pregnant dinosaur finna have twins. And they ain't some of them. All of these are stories. These are stories. You have to have the story. You have to have them right. You have to have them right. Don't try to jump in it just so much for the fame. The fame is kind of like McDonald's. You always can see that posted on some sign or something. But the true part of you is when you can harness all your wild energy, all your body fluids and stuff, all the crazy stuff that go on between young people. When you can take that and reuse it and go to the bank with it, you have become something.
All right, Charlie, we're going to wrap up. We are so thankful. Lots of people are saying thank you in the comments and how much they've enjoyed this.
I thank you so much. I am so honored that this happened, and I'm going to give all of my blessings to you just only today.
Well, thank you. All right, Charlie. Have a good day. Everybody have a great weekend, and thanks for being here with us. We'll see you later. Happy Saturday.
See what we just did?